Welcome, everyone. Hi, my name is Anderson. I am the coordinator for Read SC, the South Carolina Center for the Book. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin, I want to make sure that all attendees know that we do have closed captions available at the bottom of your screen. If you need to press the three little dots that say more, you can see the closed captioning option for anyone who might be deaf or hard of hearing or just want to be able to read what we're saying. So the format of tonight's talk is going to be the brief introduction, and then we're going to have Margie take the floor. And after her talk, we will hopefully have time for a few questions. So if you think of anything while the talk is going on, please feel free to write your questions in the chat box for her to answer afterward. So now about our speaker tonight. Marjy Marj wears so many hats. Oh my gosh, when I was reading about some of her work, I was impressed and in awe of all the things that she is able to do with her time, which she manages clearly very well. In addition to writing, speaking, and consulting, she serves as the vice chairman of the Hub City Writers Project Board of Directors. She is a trustee at the Charles Lee Center Foundation, the Spartanburg Regional Foundation, and Spartanburg Day School, and was recently named co-chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Spartanburg Day. She is clearly dedicated to serving her community in any way that she can, and we are so happy to have her with us tonight. And I clearly could go on, but I want to make sure that she has plenty of time to talk about her work. So with that, I would like to introduce you all to Marjy Marj.
Hey everyone, this is Marjy Marj. I'm so glad to be here. It is such an honor for the South Carolina State Library to have me join the Authors of South Carolina program. As you all know, my name is Marjy Marj. I think I said that already, right? Maybe my nerves are showing. I've been doing a lot of talking today. I don't even know how I'm finding my voice, but I want to show my book. I want to show it off. You see those beautiful women on the cover? Yes, I am the author of Same Elephants. I'm also the author of the Shimmer Grant, and I should have had a copy of the Shimmer Grant so I could show it off, but I totally forgot. Hey, just Google the Shimmer Grant. There's not too many of that out there. You will find it by yours truly, Marjy Marj. Yeah, okay. So I'm supposed to talk about my book and some of the themes that run through the book today. And Same Elephants is it's a book about four friends from diverse backgrounds and their journey. They're college kids, and then they grow up and they face some adversity, and then they bond and they get together and they party and and they fight and all the good stuff. So we're going to talk about some of the themes that run through the book. Before I start though, I want to say thanks to Anderson for that awesome introduction. You made me feel like I was all that. Hey guys, yeah, I'm the real deal. What are you thinking, right? Marjy Marj in the house. Well, as you can tell, I like talking to myself because really I can't see who is watching or anything, and I'm talking and I'm laughing and I'm feeling myself. Um, before the talk today, I actually went on Facebook and I did a little poll because there's so many themes that run through the book. And I wanted to share what the viewers of the listeners or participants wanted to hear tonight. So, if I don't get to talk about some of the topics that I put out there, that's fine. Other organizations are going to have me speak, and you could come listen to that too, because there are lots of topics to talk about. Well, when we did the poll, I put out culture, friendship, stereotyping, diversity, representation, and unity. And I asked the participants to choose their top three. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Yes, 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 yes. Well, culture was one of the winners, and so was representation and unity. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight: culture, representation, and unity. And all three themes run through Same Elephants. Well, as you can tell from the cover of the book, this is about four women. One of them is an atheist. We have a Muslim chick. We have a Jewish girl. We have a Christian girl. We got two Black girls. We got the white girls. One of the girls is dating a Latino guy. You know, everybody is in the book. And that brings me to the topic of culture and how through Same Elephants, I believe that we have to learn to appreciate one another's culture. First of all, I would like to talk about Rakiya, who is the Muslim girl in the book. Rakiya has a different culture. She wears a hijab. She doesn't take it off. And she has to educate her friends in the book about the reason why she wears the hijab. And you know, as she's educating her friend Sasha, who is another Black girl, realizes that, oh, she thought different about the reason why people had to be in hijabs. But then they realized that despite Rakiya being Muslim, having that hijab on, she is just like them. And so we have to learn to appreciate other people's cultures. Another cultural theme that ran through the book was the fact that Aviva was a Jewish girl. You know, not to give away any spoilers, but there is a wedding in the book, and it is a Jewish wedding, a beautiful wedding. The book ends with Mazel Tov. You know, that's all part of the culture. We get to experience a little bit of the Jewish culture in there. And then, of course, there's Sasha, who was in the Shimmigrant. In the Shimmigrant, she was a young girl who came from Ghana to America, was a maid servant. You got to read the Shimmigrant to know all about Sasha's story. But Sasha has some cultural experiences that her three friends who are originally from America don't have. And we get to see that. We get to feel that as we read the book. And we realize that despite having that different culture, there are so many things that they have in common. Even when Sasha is talking to Rakiya, they realize that, you know, they're both Black, but then there are things that Rakiya, whose ancestors were slaves who worked in South Carolina, has experienced that Sasha did not experience. But then Sasha also gets to realize that despite her being from Ghana, the culture of Rakiya is so similar to hers. And they find that love and that bonding. And so, you know, in America, this is like a melting pot, right? We have people coming in from Asia, from South America, Africa, everywhere. And we all come with our different cultures. But that is what makes the fabric of America. And so Same Elephants is telling us that although we are different, we are also the same, and we get to learn from each other. What I love about the characters in Same Elephants is that nobody has their nose up in the air about the other person's background or culture. Well, maybe Sasha thinks that Aviva is a little bit too rich, but hey, if she doesn't think that, then it's not human, you know, because sometimes we got some folks that are a little bit more bougie than us, and you know, hey, you just got to give them the respect. Because, hey, for example, it's President's Day, and you know, I know people who are taking bougie trips, they're being safe though. And then there are those of us who probably be stuck indoors, and but we all gotta love each other, because look at my fingers, the fingers are not equal. There's always going to be that little bit of a difference, you know. Yeah, so that's the culture that is in Same Elephants that I think y'all going to love. If you've read the book, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read it, this is your time to buy 10 copies for all your friends out there, or maybe 100 copies for that big bad book club. I'm seeing a few names, Susan Myers, Rakiya Goodrich, Betsy Tito. I can't see everybody, but I saw a few names. So I just want to give y'all a shout out and thank you for joining us. Amazing. Next, we're going to talk about representation. And at the end of the conversation, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat room. We will discuss it. I will answer your questions. You can tell I like to talk, and so I will talk your ear off. Representation. Oh my God, representation is so important. And when I was growing up, I didn't know that, because I grew up in Ghana. Everybody was Black. And I didn't even know when I was being discriminated against, because growing up, I thought I was all that. So there were a few times maybe that I felt shocked, though, like when I was in boarding school and Valentine's Day and everybody be getting cards and letters from boys and stuff, and nobody wrote to me. I didn't get any gifts. I was just that girl that, I was just so lame, but it's okay. I didn't grow up to be lame. So, hey, if you're a kid out there and you feel like you don't belong, it's all right. You're going to turn out okay. I turned out fine. So representation, it's so important. And throughout Same Elephants, I'm just going to lift up the book again because I feel cool being an author and holding my book. Y'all, look. Yes, representation is a theme that is throughout the book. Sometimes we don't see these things. It's so important for people to see people who look like them. It's so important to have a seat at the table. And you know what? In this world, sometimes if you don't have a seat at the table, what does Marjy Marj say? I say, hey, make your own table and invite others to that table. Because you know what? There is enough room for everyone. The sun is shining so bright. It covers the whole earth. So, if you allow somebody to be represented, it does not take away from you. And representation in the book, it's like, I feel like it's so near and dear to my heart that when we talk about authors being represented, it shows up in the book. Because there's an incident in the book when the girls have to go to an event, and it's a white author who's getting all the props, and Rakiya is wondering what happens to the authors of color and how come they're not being highlighted. So these are things that happen in real life, right? And they're all in Same Elephants. You're reading it like it's a book of fiction, but it gives you a window into other people's lives. It is. Sometimes we don't even realize that we need for other people to be represented because it's just our normal, and we don't think about that. I mean, if you're serving on like a board, or you've been employed with a company for years and all your friends are there and all of you are Black, and you don't think that you need a white dude to come in and mess up the program. The same way that if it's a bunch of white folk, you don't think that it's necessary for maybe in a school to have teachers of color so that the kids will learn and respect those teachers, or that the kids of color would have somebody to look up to, or even if you don't have teachers, have like a coach of color or somebody for the kids to look up to. That kind of representation is so important. And so as we go through Same Elephants, we show that with the friendship. Even when the girls, there is an incident that happens where the girls are accused of trespassing. Even when they went on a protest to educate their community, there was representation at the protest, because it wasn't just Rakiya and Sasha who went for the protest. No, their friends, Aviva, the Jewish chick, and her peoples, and Jane and her peoples, and Jane is white, right? They all went together. So there was representation. There was that togetherness. And so, we we take these types of things for granted, but it is important for us. And that leads me to the next theme that we're going to talk about, that unity. Representation is important. Pull somebody else to join you at that table. But then, you know what is important is also not just the representation that you have there, but actually including that person. If you invite me to your table because, for example, you just think that you need a woman of color there, and what I say doesn't really matter because, hey, we got her, so we're showing people that we're diverse, all right? And you don't listen to what I've got to say, you're not really including me, hearing me, seeing me. And that is, that is a theme in Same Elephants. I tell you, although the book seems to be light, it is heavy. I think it is. I don't know. Some of you may have read it and I will hear it in the comments, but that is what leads me to talk about the importance of unity. The cover of the book, it just, let me bring it close. Yeah, you see those beautiful women? Yes. And the book is not just for women, it's for everybody. Well, having that kind of unity, those friends, you have the Christian girl being friends with the Muslim girl. And in the beginning, it's a Republican event, right? I know that some of you listening may have gone to college, and if you are like me, when you were in college and you were poor, you needed food, you would go to a Republican event for free pizza, and you would go to a Democrat event, to get that sandwich. It didn't matter to me. I could be any party any day because girl had to eat, and that was in the book. Yeah. So these girls from different backgrounds actually met at a political event. It doesn't say whether the girls are Democrat or Republican, but I'm pretty sure that there was a Republican amongst them because it was a Republican event. Maybe Sasha went for the free food. I don't know. In the upcoming book, we're going to find out if she's Democrat or Republican, or if she's independent or apolitical, whatever she chooses to be. Writers, our imagination always goes wild. But talking about unity, these girls, regardless of their backgrounds, stayed unified, and their friendship persisted throughout college. Because the book is about Aviva's wedding, where they all get together. And that unity, oh my goodness, is something that we would love to see in this world, not just in America, but in the entire world. Now, before I talk further about unity, I just want to read the human oath, which is in the book. And I hope I can see. I don't have my glasses on. I have the wrong readers. I think I need to go see the doctor. Lately, I see things and I say other things. Bear with me. So this is the very first page of the book, right? And it says, the human oath. We are humans from all around the world, one kind only, and that is humankind. Oh my goodness, people. Isn't that the truth? That we are humans from all around the world, one kind only, and that is humankind. We have to love on each other, and that's what these girls do, regardless of their differences. And at the beginning of the book, when Sasha met her new friends, they said some things that, sometimes we think that, like Sasha was in a skirt, and I'm revealing some of the stuff in the book anyway. She was in a skirt, and then the white girl goes, oh, I went to Kenya, and talked about the Maasai tribe. And Sasha had no idea who the Maasai tribe was because she was from Ghana. She didn't know, people do that. Like, they try to sound like, oh, they know stuff. And when her friend, well, she wasn't her friend then, but when that was said, Sasha in her head she had some words in her head, but then she smiled. And later she realized that, oh, these people can really be my friends. And so sometimes, although we may have certain perceptions, we would have to give people a chance, regardless of what we think or what our leanings are. And so that theme of unity, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, atheist, Black, white, it brings us together. And especially in these times in America, where we are so divided, I believe that as humans belonging to just that one race, we could find that point where we would intersect. We could find that commonality. Now, I know that's not easy because you know what? It is really tough. People have stories to tell. People have gone through hardships. People have been discriminated against. There is so much negativity. We all have a story to tell. There are times that there are people who have felt left behind, maltreated. And I'm not saying that bygones should be bygones, but you know what? What I'm saying is try to see the world from somebody else's eyes. And it is hard. Sometimes it's tough. Like, I don't know how I'm saying all this, but sometimes I look at some of the things that are going on and I'm like, how in the world am I going to see the world from this person's eyes? But you know what? Like I was watching TV on election night, listening to CNN, and it was all this. We have the first African American vice president, and we have President Joe Biden, and da da da. All these good things about the new family that's gonna be in the White House. I flipped over to Fox. It was a different commentary there. I flipped over to MSNBC. I was like, whoa, different planet. But you know what? What if we realize that that person watching CNN is seeing the world from that perspective because that is what they are consuming? What if we realize that somebody is getting all their news from TikTok, and so they don't even know like the real stuff that's going on, or somebody is listening to Fox all day and is not hearing what the other side has to say? What if we give each other a chance? And it's not going to be perfect. It's baby steps, and we need allies. Because I'm saying all this, but I probably can't do it on my own. But then if my friend Betsy, who happens to be a great ally, decides that she's also going to speak up to her network, then, we start spreading the love, one person at a time. And that is something that we could live by so that we could have that unity. Now, unity sometimes, from the way I hear it, is like, okay, if you don't agree with me, then you don't want unity and I'm gonna cancel you. Oh my goodness, cancel culture is just something that we're also scared of. Like sometimes you have something to say, but you're like, man, if I say that, they're gonna cancel me. I am not going to dare speak my mind. There is no truth coming out of me. Well, people, baby steps, and that is the unity, the humankind that we see in Saint Elephants. And I just want to put a plug in for my new show, Humanity Chats with Marjy, which goes on every Thursday. When my book tour got canceled, I was like, let me just do a little something to talk about my book. And so on Thursdays, we were talking about human stories just because of the human oath in Same Elephants. And we just started talking about, simple topics, sensitive topics. Sometimes we were happy, sometimes we were sad, but we talked about important things. And now I feel like, oh my goodness, Humanity Chats has given me such fulfillment that I did not expect. And so, you know what? I've said, like 70 times. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't prepare well for your talk. But unity is so important, as is shown throughout Same Elephants. And so at this time, I think I have to wrap up and be ready for your questions. I hope I didn't bore you. We talked about culture, we talked about representation, and we talked about unity. And I have lots to say, but I'm leaving room because I want you to ask me questions. Let's go.
All right, so we do have some questions already popping up in the chat, and if they run out of questions in the audience, then I have a few of my own to ask. So let's go ahead and dive in. Susan is asking, did you always want to be an author?
Oh, yes, Susan. Even when I was a little kid, I was making up stories. I was in school plays. I would like to write a script. And as I got older, I went to boarding school. I was in all the plays. And every time I was in boarding house, right? And I was in Edinburgh House at Avery Girls High School. And every time for entertainment, when my house had to be in a play or a production, I would be like, let me write it. And I'll write it, or I'll act in it, and I'll sing. I don't have a great singing voice, by the way, but then I will sing. So yes, I've always wanted to be an author. Oh, I have looked forward to becoming an author. And the Shimmer Grant was like, hallelujah, I have a book, baby.
It is exciting when you finally get to realize something that you have been dreaming of and working towards for so long. So that's really exciting to hear. Two people asked this question, and so I think it is very important for our listeners tonight. Is there going to be a sequel to Same Elephants?
Oh, you got that right, baby. It is such a powerful book. And I love that story. That book is sitting tight. And I am praying on it and praying on it because I wanted to find a good home. Hey, if you know any great literary agents out there, tell them Marjy Marj is so pretty awesome. And that book is set in the Carolinas and Ghana. I have been wanting for my book to be in the Carolinas for a long time because the Shimmigrant started out in Ghana. It started out in Kumasi, and then it went to Accra, and then it went to New York, and from New York, it went to Maryland. As an immigrant, I could not see my book going straight to the Carolinas because a lot of the times when immigrants come from Ghana, New York is like a gateway. And, for the way the storyline was, that girl had to be in New York. And, and then for Same Elephants, I was like, oh my God, I got to figure out a way to put the Carolinas in there. And so, oh my goodness, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love, love, love the Carolinas and the way it represents in that book. And then when they get to Ghana, it is popping. Oh my, look, you're not supposed to toot your own horn, but I love that story. I cried when I was writing it. Oh my goodness, there were days that it was like all these tears because I was really feeling the story. And then there were times that, how girls have certain imaginations. Like when my husband proposed to me, it wasn't over the top. I mean, it was really cool. It wasn't over the top. But then, hey, that book has a proposal in there. And it's like my imagination of what Prince Charming would have done. And so it's like, oh my God, this is so sweet. Yeah, there is a sequel. That was such a long answer.
Well, I am sure people are just as excited to know as you are to share. So we are all eagerly awaiting. A question from Betsy. What is your writing process?
Oh, Betsy. I knew you were going to ask a tough question. Well, my writing process is pretty simple. I write in Google Docs because I have to find the chance to write anywhere I am. Well, not these days that COVID-19 has this quarantine. I got no place to go. So, hey, I write and I write. But prior to that, with the Shimmigrant and Same Elephants, I was writing Google Doc because I may be like at a soccer game and decide that and get this thought that, gosh, this has got to be in the book. So I'm gonna have to get my phone out and go da, da, da. And you might think that she's texting someone. Oh no, that girl is writing. And I realized that my creative juices were best in the mornings. So very early in the morning when I wake up, that's when I go and I type and, and then sometimes I cry. I don't know why I get so emotional. Like, I just get so emotional. I think, I don't even know, but yeah, I get so vested when I'm writing and the characters are like my true friends. And I feel like I'm in there in the book and laughing and smiling. But I write very early in the morning, and then times in between, I go on Google Docs and I put my thoughts down. And I'm one of those people who gets thoughts in the shower. That is so crazy because sometimes I would get a thought and I'm like, I gotta hurry up. I gotta, I may get out with soap because I gotta hurry up and type it up or write it down because I don't want to forget. Yes, Betsy, I hope I answered your question.
So you brought up characters, which brings us to John's question. How do you come up with your characters? Are they based on individual people you know or composites of various people?
Come on, John, famous John. Y'all, I'm thinking it's John Cribb. John was on Fox and Friends this past week. I'm gonna give John a shout out, his book, Old Abe. If you guys haven't had him over at the State Library, you should have John over because he has a lot of fans and so he will bring lots of people to your program. Yeah, John was calling Facebook out for censoring him. He's a brave guy. Yeah. Oh, what was John's question?
How do you come up with your characters?
Yeah, John, it's a composite of people, and it could be people that I know or people that I've seen on a show or just people that I've read about. It's not a particular person, but I do get inspired reading other stories. I'm a big reader. And so I do get inspired from reading other stories or life experiences. And when I write, it's not my personal story, but I do get bits and pieces from different places. And, sometimes I ask for advice. Like I was writing about a scene in the Shimmer Grant, and I went to my roommate and I was like, yo, can somebody die from a peanut allergy? And he's like, why would you ask that? And I'm like, I got to know, and yeah, but I had Googled it, but then I don't have that medical knowledge. He's like, do your research. I said, no, I got you. Yeah, but that's how I write. I try to put fun in there and yeah, it's composite. Yeah, but hey, back to having John on your program. He will be an amazing guy. I got his email, his contact, and everything for you. And if you Google John Cribb, you're gonna find him. You can even find the Fox and Friends interview on the internet. Yeah, John, I put you on blast.
Thank you for that hearty recommendation. Rose has a question. How does one become a successful author?
Oh, you just become Marjy Marj and you will be successful. That is the recipe, Rose. Yeah. It is a lot of hard work. Oh my goodness. It doesn't happen overnight. And even when you have a big publisher, you still got to push. You got to put your word out there. You got to make sure that what you're writing is vital, whether it's nonfiction or fiction. And I think it comes with a lot of work, a lot of hashtags, and trying to build that support system. Sometimes you may say something and nobody would say anything about it. Like, I really think that my book, The Shimmigrant, is an awesome book. I get lots of positive feedback from people. And then there will be somebody that I know and the person would put something out about some fabulous book that they read. And I'll go read the book and I'm like, oh my goodness, this book is not a big deal. Can't they say something about the Shimmer Grant? And so, it's really tough. It's really tough, and it's relative. Like, what defines success? Is it when you get that big publishing contract, or Is it when everybody knows your name? Or is it you accomplishing your life dream of writing? Success depends on how you view it. Um, I view my story as a successful story because, once upon a time, I lived in Ghana. I had a dream that I was going to be a writer. It took a while. It was a windy road. I took writing classes. I invested in myself. I put pen on paper. A page became a chapter. A chapter became a book. I could hold my book in my hand. Oh, I wish I had the Shimmigrant to hold. But, just holding my book in my hand, feeling it, smelling it, looking at those words on paper was like, oh my God, I have made it. So success is really relative, Rosie. Um, yes, yes, yes. But praise God for opening doors. I mean, here I am. Anderson reached out to me, y'all. She found me somewhere and reached out to me. So I must be successful in some shape or form. I am findable. Is findable a word? Yeah.
Good answer. So I have a couple questions. So I watched your Marjy TV episode earlier with Alicia D. Williams, which was so fun and such a great talk to listen to. So if anyone watching wants to catch that afterwards, I highly recommend visiting Marjy's website to see more of those episodes. But one of the questions that you asked her that I wanted to ask you is, you asked her how an author's book changed people's minds. And so I wanted to know, how do you think your book changes people's minds?
Oh my goodness, that is a perfect question. Yes, because you know what? I think my books do change people's minds. Look, that girl, that Shimmer Grant, the city that she came from, the houses there were bigger than the houses in New York. I've had a whole lot of people read about my work, and some people just thought that people in Africa lived in huts. And they're like, oh my goodness, she came from a fancier home. Well, she was a maid there though. But that story that I'm telling in my own voice lets you see that it's not all immigrants who are criminals. People work darn hard for what they get. It lets you see that a kid could be discriminated against in school through no fault of hers or his. Those stories that I write teach people, although they're fictional, it teaches people that it's not all that you hear in the media that actually tells you what an immigrant is supposed to be like, or it's not all immigrants in America who are illegal. There are some that are legal, and then there's some that may be illegal through no fault of theirs because of the way they happen to come into this country or how somebody brought them here. And for people in Africa, they read my book and they see that, oh, I don't always have to go to America to be successful. I could stay here and make a life for myself. So I'm changing minds all over. Insane elephants, I let people know that it is possible for you to be Christian, a good Christian, and have a friend who is a Jew, and have a friend who is a Muslim. And that is not all Muslims that are terrorists. Look, Rakiya in the book, who is a Muslim, is a medical school, is a resident, is a family medicine resident who's gonna be running for chief resident. And she has a hijab. She volunteered for a Republican event. We don't know what her political affiliation is or if she was doing it for class credit, but she did volunteer for a Republican event and she is Muslim. You bet my book is changing minds. If only people will buy it and read it, and I know people are, but tell more people because there are so many lessons in there. It is possible to go to a wedding where they end with Mazel Tov, and it's a Muslim girl who is in the bridal party of that Jewish wedding. We are not enemies. We are humans. And so, yes, we are changing lives. We are changing people's perceptions and trying to get rid of that stereotypes that are out there.
Well said. Thank you for sharing that. And one of the other questions that I have, you talked about representation during your talk a lot, and about reflecting more people's experiences in your book. But I wanted to ask, what books reflected your experience when you were growing up, and what books inspired you?
I got a lot of inspiration out there, and you'd be surprised at the books that reflected my experience when I was growing up. Some of the books were written by white folk. Um, I was a voracious reader, so I read everything. I read John Grisham, his name comes up a lot. And so I wanted to be a lawyer. And I watched JAG. You know, I read books by Amate Du, Chinua Achebe, So Long a Letter, books by authors of African descent. And through the books that I read, I saw myself as a person who was going to do great things. But I should say that I did watch The Godfather and I wanted to be in the mafia. Yeah, because I came from a small family and the mafia seemed to have like a big family with everybody kissing and hugging. And I really wanted to be part of that movement. I didn't realize that the mafia was walking people and all that stuff. So, you know, depending on what you read, it could really form. It could really form a certain perception. Well, I'm glad that I stayed away from being in the mafia. But yeah, there was a time where I thought I could be CIA or FBI because of what I was reading. I seeing yourself in books is so important, and especially in these days for children of color to also see themselves in books. It's just an amazing thing to see because when you hear the statistics of based on where you live or what your zip code is, it could be that you're not going to live to see the age of 25. And that is something that we have to try and change. We have to bring people up. I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And there's the 29302 zip code that has all the cool things going on and all the what you call it, sidewalks and people riding their bikes. And like during COVID times, I would see pictures of people going on their walk and sharing all the positive things. And then there are other parts that don't have that. There are other parts that the parents have to go to work and these kids have to be in virtual school and there is nobody to look after them, or they don't have internet access to even do their work. We have to make sure that, and Hub City Press, Hub City Bookshop is doing this mirrors program where they're going to put books in the hands of children all across. This is so important that we see people that are doing great things. If this young Black girl sees this young, not young, well, it could be young, but sees an astronaut or sees a doctor, they're thinking, I could be that. I could be it. Amanda Gorman is out there speaking her poem in that beautiful dress. She is styling and profiling. And some little Black girl is looking at that and it's like, ooh, that could be me. But guess what? There's a little white girl looking and saying, that could be me as well. So we gotta have that representation, people from all walks of life, whether we have a Latina woman at the helm like Sonia Sotomayor swearing in, Kamala Harris, or it's just so important. Representation, oh my God, I cannot say it enough. It is so important to me and to so many other people. We should just have it. Yes.
Ruby wants to know, how did you come up with the title of your book?
Which one? Oh, yeah, I'm talking about Same Elephants, right? Yes. So this has been a bone of contention because the book was supposed to be called differences aside, because it was all about the human experience and being together. And I've actually doubted myself. I'm like, maybe if the book was called Differences Aside, it will resonate with more people and everybody would know that, okay, we're talking about, you know, elephants. Like, is that like the symbol for a political party, or is that like an elephant? Like, seriously, what is same elephants? But guess what? The book is dedicated to my sweet mama, Sally baby. I love her to pieces. She sent me this necklace. And so, hey, Ma, if you happen to watch this video, I'm wearing this for you. I love you, mamacita. Yes. So my sweet Sally baby, she, when I was a kid and I used to complain about so many things because I didn't get the chance to go hang out and there were all these strict rules. You wouldn't believe it. Now she's not strict. The grandkids, they get to do everything they want. But Sally baby was a tough cookie. And when I complained and I said something, she'd be like, elephant you, elephant me, elephant you, elephant them. Mainly, she was just saying, different you, different me. You know, so elephant you, elephant me has just been a statement that has been ringing in my ears. And so I just thought, oh, the elephants, they're the same. They're not different. And that is same elephants. That's so crazy. Like, really, it's like, what does it mean? But yeah, that's same elephants. There's no smart reasoning behind the title, but just to get back at mama. Yeah.
Say it's a beautiful and sentimental reason that connects you to your family. So that's lovely.
Amen. Amen.
So unless we have any more questions, I think we might wrap up this evening. Thank you all for joining us. To purchase a copy of Same Elephants or The Shimmigrant, I encourage you to visit your local independent bookseller. I know that Marjy mentioned that Hub City Bookshop, I'm sure, has a copy or several copies that you can purchase. To learn more about Marjy Marj, you can visit her website, and I will link that in the chat. And to learn more about upcoming talks with Read SC, you can visit our website as well, which I am also linking. Oh, I'm putting those directly to someone else and not to everyone. It's all right, we'll figure it out. Technology can be tricky, right, guys? All right, well, thank you all again so much. Thank you, Marjy, for sharing. We really appreciate having you. And I hope everyone, you all stay safe and well. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah, can I say something before we all go?
Absolutely, feel free.
Well, I don't know who showed up. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody who came tonight to listen to me and to hear more about my work and my book. I really appreciate you. And I would encourage you to tell others. And, you know, it is so important to us creatives that you leave reviews of our work. So if you have read my work and you liked it, please go on Goodreads or go on Amazon, anywhere that you can review my work, and put that review in there, because that will help somebody else who doesn't know about me. When they're trying to make a decision, they're going to know that, oh, okay, what she wrote does make sense, so let me get her work. Thank you once again so much. May God richly bless you. And I hope you come to my other events, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation tonight.